As an accountant, one of the requests I get a lot is candidates coming to me looking to actually transition from their 9 to 5 into self-employment. And I know that for a lot of people who Google the benefits of self-employment, we often do tend to see the same thing over and over again, which is, you get to have more time with your friends, with your family. You also get the convenience of being able to work when you want to. And in some cases, you might even get to make more money than you being in your 9 to 5. However, if you're someone who is looking to transition into self-employment in the UK, I want to share this video with you to actually share with you why I think the cost of being in self-employment might be higher than what you might have thought. Okay, and I feel like for anyone who is looking to go into self-employment, you really do want to consider these considerations I'm going to be talking about before making the decision as to whether self-employment is actually for you. So the first thing to consider in self-employment is going to be the legal and financial risk that comes as a result of being self-employed. Now, being self-employed ultimately means that you are responsible for any legal issues that may arise during the course of your business. Okay, this basically means that you will have what we call unlimited liability, okay, in the event that your business actually owes money or debt to other organizations or other businesses. Now, if you imagine, if you're a self-employed person who has assets in your personal name, you have properties in your personal name, and you were in a self-employment business structure running your business, that really puts you at a lot of risk, okay, and a lot of exposure, because if you fell into trouble in terms of owing creditors and having a lot of debt in your books, then your assets, your personal assets could actually be seized. Now, the next thing to consider is the fact that any time you take off your business, you will not get paid for it, okay? You will not have any holiday pay, you will not have any sick pay. This is, of course, unless you have structured your self-employment business in such a way that you have other sources of income, okay? So other means of making money, but ideally through passive income sources. It's important to note that when you're self-employed, you need to bear in mind how you're going to cope with the time that you want to take off, because it's very easy for you to assume that you will just keep working in this business 9 to 5, 9 to 12 non-stop. But the reality is a lot of us at some point might fall ill or we want to go on holiday. So what are you going to have in place in order to actually help you sustain the business, sustain the money that is being generated from that business that you're running as a self-employed person? So it's very important for you to factor this in mind when you're looking to actually go into self-employment. And ideally, what I would suggest is to ensure that you have in place some sources of passive income that you can easily rely upon if and when you want to take holiday or other forms of breaks from your self-employment business. And there's also a type of insurance called income protection insurance, which can help, particularly if you're in long-term illness, okay, and you run a self-employment business. This can help you, actually provide for the essential income that you might need when you are off sick for a considerable amount of time from your business. So this is definitely a point to consider if you're looking to actually start a self-employment business here in the UK. The next consideration is actually a common mistake I see with so many people who go into self-employment, which is actually underestimating massively how much taxes they're likely to pay. Now, this is obviously going to be a big deal, particularly when it comes to you submitting your self-assessment tax return. And if I'm being honest, the amount of tax you will pay will ultimately depend on a number of factors, including how much income your business actually generated, and also things like how much deductible expenses you were able to deduct as a result of running that business. So what I will always say is to ensure that when you're running your business through a self-employment structure, you want to make sure that on a month-on-month basis, you're actually keeping some money aside, okay? A particular percentage of how much you're earning on a monthly basis, you want to make sure you keep that aside so that by the end of the year, okay, when it comes to January and it's time to submit your self-assessment tax return, you are in a fairly comfortable position to be able to pay what tax your business owes. It is very, very easy to underestimate a lot of times how much tax you're likely to pay. And you don't want to be in a situation where your tax return has been completed and you have grossly underestimated how much you need to pay. Okay, another thing to do is to make sure that you actually work with an accountant that can help you properly manage your book. As a self-employed person, there are multiple business expenses that you can actually claim, provided they are, of course, tax-deductible expenses. Now, I've already gone through a few of those in this video that I've linked up here. However, one of the difficult things that I tend to find with many people who are self-employed is the difficulty with actually keeping track and managing these expenses in an organized fashion. Because if you're not keeping track and keeping on top of these expenses, then when it comes to the time to actually complete your tax return, then you are not going to be capitalizing on all the expenses that you could potentially have been able to fully deduct and help you reduce your tax. Obviously, there are different ways you can use to keep on track and accurately manage your business expenses as you're incurring them. One of the best methods I tend to suggest to my clients is to use financial trackers and financial planners to help them keep on top of this. Now, you can check the links in the description for the recommended financial planners and trackers that I tend to recommend. The key is to have in place an organized and systematic approach to actually help you diligently keep track of your business expenses as you are incurring them. When you're running your business as a self-employed person, also known as a sole trader here in the UK, the income tax that you are going to be paying will fall anywhere from 0% right up to 45%. Okay. Now, contrary to this, if you run your business through a limited company structure, you would obviously be able to capitalize on tax efficiency strategies as well as other deductions that are not available to self-employed people but are available to those who primarily run their businesses through a limited company structure. All in all, you need to think about how this is likely to affect any amount of money you are taking home after your taxes have been paid. Okay, it's obviously worthwhile to think about this ahead of deciding what business structure you want to run your business through. Next consideration you definitely don't want to forget, which a lot of people often do, is the fact that it is so much harder for you to raise capital and to generate business funding if you are running your business through a self-employed structure. Now, so many people miss this out. That is, of course, until they find themselves in the situation where they want to scale that business, say in the next 3 or maybe even 5 years. Now, the reason for this difficulty for many sole traders is due to the perceived lack of accountability and lack of transparency, which a lot of people tend to have when they are doing businesses with sole traders or with those who are self-employed. This is versus if you were actually running your business through a limited company structure. It would be a lot easier for you to access this funding. It would be a lot easier for you to actually access any additional capital that you needed to. So if you're watching this video at this point and would love to get started in self-employment, I would really love to hear from you in the comment section. What are your drawbacks? What are your biggest fears regarding actually going into self-employment here in the UK? Leave a comment down below. And also, before you go, make sure to watch this video here where I've gone over the step-by-step guide to self-employment in the UK to actually help you get started on your journey to becoming self-employed here in the UK. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to share it with someone who might benefit, and be sure to subscribe. I will see you in the next video.